What's up, y'all? It's Brian back with another live stream for Tuesday night, man. We back and ready to do the thing. I've been trying to have some misadventures on TikTok. I don't quite know how the TikTok live stream function works, and since they won't give me a stream key, they want me to use their proprietary software. They're making it a lot harder. I don't know if I could even use this while at the same time, if it's going to try to take over my camera and shut my camera down here, shut my mic down here. It's like it's an issue. And so I'm trying my best. I really do want to be able to do a live on TikTok, but I don't know if it's in the cards for the live stream. I may just do some gaming stuff on there and kind of recap the live stream. And that might be the kind of the mix here. Recap this live stream on TikTok and just present everything else here. So we'll see we'll see what it is. So tonight's live stream, can y'all hear me? Let me know. Get in the comments if you can hear me, if everything sounds good. This is probably gonna be. I think this is my first time actually live streaming on my dedicated Blerding While Dad channel on Instagram. So a couple of community updates things here. So I'm actually building my Substack and I'm building out my Patreon. I think I'm probably going to be renaming the Patreon because I do want to make it more of a community and not just me reposting my stuff on there. And so playing around with a couple of different names. Y'all gonna see it here pretty soon. But I'm trying to make it a place where Black nerds of a certain age can hang out, chop it up about pretty much life, comic books, video games, wrestling, parenting, whatever. And I'm trying to make a space for us to be having to have those conversations in a positive place, because I think there's too much negative space. There are too many spaces on or hidey holes where where people can get together and complain and crank and moan about everything that's going wrong. I want to talk about stuff that we love. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. And so I will be dropping the Patreon here. And if you're interested, it's a way to support me. I'm not asking anything of y'all. Like, I don't, I'm building out the community for, because I want to, and I need a space. But if y'all are interested, it is a good way to support me. Join the Patreon to make sure, just join the Patreon. I mean, I'm going to be posting a lot of stuff. You're going to start seeing an uptick in content that I post over there. And so I'm hoping that you guys join, but it's not necessary. You don't have to join my Patreon. I wanted to create a community for us so we can talk about stuff. And so y'all going to see what this looks like here. So I'm copying the Patreon community, putting that in the comments so that if you want to join, y'all can jump in. But I'm trying to turn that into an actual community. I'm playing around with a couple of different platforms to figure out where I want the Blerding While Dad community to live. And so Patreon's the first one. I may be trying a school community. We'll see what happens. So that's what we got. All right. Tonight, let's get into this. This is going to be a political / comic book one. So I'm just putting that in your ear right now. So if you have strong aversions to talking politics or anything along those lines, this may not be the episode for you. But I am going to get off into my heavy, my comic book stuff here too. So I'm pulling up my outline here. Okay. So that I have everything in front of me. And we're going to make this thing shake. So, and comment, y'all, if y'all like what I'm doing, if you're intrigued by what I'm doing, if you want to support what I'm doing, let me know, because the only way that this gets better is if y'all participate. Okay. So first things first, I'm going to start the top of the show with my political rundown. Okay. And this one's it's about the difference between being callous and inept and out of touch. And that's kind of what I'm seeing the political system being right now. And so when I say the political party system, I think for people that aren't nerds about politics like I am, and weren't huge nerds in political science, I think we're in the 6th or 7th political party system in the United States. That means there's been other versions of this political party system, depending on which parties were popular, which ones weren't, and which ones were the major which ones were the major parties and which ones weren't. And so throughout history, we've had multiple political parties occupy those two spaces. And with a lot, for whatever reason, we are programmed to think in binaries. Like we're programmed to think um, in one or the other. Like we're not able, like we can't deal with multitudes of stuff, and so we always have one or two of things. So we're in the sixth or seventh political system. Okay, version of the political system, I should say, and as a result, right now, our major political parties are Democrats and Republicans. Now, understand that there's a branding concept that we're at play here. Because the current Republicans are not the same as the Republicans of 2008. The current Democrats aren't the same as the Democrats of 2012. The labels represent the specific party, but it doesn't specify what their alignment is. And so throughout history, the label of Democrat and Republican can mean something vastly different depending on the time period you're in. And so it's better to look at the party alignment through eyes of, liberal, progressive, conservative, those kind of alignments, instead of looking at it instead of the binary Democrat, Republican. It's better to look at it progressive, conservative, and you'll get a clearer sense of it. Because like I said, the Republicans of today aren't the Republicans of 1920, and vice versa. Okay. Pulling up some stuff here so I can make sure I'm factually accurate. So that I wanted to put that out there first. Before we get into this, we have to lay that specific groundwork. When we talk about it, we're currently in the sixth or seventh political system. Essentially, and I think the early 2000s, it was the compassionate conservative movement, which kind of became the Tea Party movement, which morphed into the MAGA movement. These are all different movements with different goals and different viewpoints of how to govern. Okay, so even though you may label yourself a Democrat or Republican, you have not vacillated from that or not changed away from that. That does not mean that your party is still the same. And so you've adjusted to fit the needs of the party system, and not the other way around. I apologize if I'm having internet issues, y'all. You guys know this has been my constant bugaboo, and this has been my my Achilles heel is internet issues, and I've tried to clean it up. I've tried everything to get things set up. I even plugged directly into the outlet and I can't get it right. So you're just gonna have to rock with it, and hopefully I didn't lose too much. But what I'm saying is, we have and I'm going back over my lifetime as a politically active adult. The example is, back in the days, when I first got my right to vote, the conservative party were the compassionate conservatives and the neocons, right? The neoconservatives. Okay. And the neoconservatives occupied a space and they governed a specific way. But then the neocons kind of got devoured by the Tea Partiers after Obama got elected, because they kind of viewed neocon politics as a failed politic. And so they wanted something that was a little bit more, that felt populist, but it really wasn't populist because of the way it was funded and everything. These weren't populist people that were funding that specific Tea Party movement. That was a very strategic thing done by money on the sidelines. And so I'm saying all that to say this: when we talk about politics, Democrat and Republican are simply just labels. They don't really mean anything consistently throughout history. And so Just because, like water is water, depending on no matter what time and frame you are, water, the word water means water if you're speaking English, right? Like that doesn't, it's not a changeable thing. Political parties aren't designed like that, you know? Um, and so I have to lay that groundwork, and I hate to repeat myself, but I think my internet was kind of flaky for a second. Okay. So we're talking government shutdown, and these are simply my opinions. And if you don't agree with them, you are welcome to get your own platform and tell us what your opinions are. But these are simply mine, and this is how I perceive what's going on right now. It's not exhaustive. It's not definitive. There's stuff I don't know, and so I will be the first to cop to things I don't know. But this is simply the framework that I've put together to process what's happening right now. Okay. The shutdown was always going to happen. I feel like no matter what happened, the government shutdown was going to occur. I don't think that there's anything that could have been put on the table, any specific negotiation, any specific agreement, or anything along those lines that would have forced all the government shutdown. It was always going to happen. Just looking at how we are being governed right now, and this, we want to gut all these federal programs and get rid of all of these government agencies and drastically reduce them. The analogy I have is chimp with a chainsaw. That's the kind of politics we're existing in, where we are so focused on, we want this at least he's doing something. Well, like you can give a chimp a chainsaw and let him get under the hood of your car, and he's going to do something. It's not going to be something that you want, but he's going to take action. Okay. But I see the shutdown as always inevitable. They have to find a way to get around the legality of arbitrarily firing most of the federal workforce. And the only way to do that and get around the legalities of it is to shut the government down so that you can start furloughing people and not bringing them back. The other side of it is, we had the jobs report that didn't come out because of the federal shutdown. There's a lot of functional things that did not come out. That don't look great for the administration. And this administration is largely about how it's viewed. It's about press. It's about perspective on things. It's very in line with controlling specific narratives. If we're being honest, it's a very propaganda driven administration. And I'm not saying this is unique or new to the United States. We've always had a propaganda arm to our government, a propagandist reach to it. But this is kind of like overtly propaganda, like it's in your face kind of propaganda. And so part of it is controlling the narrative. Well, if the jobs report don't drop, then we can't say that the economy's tanking. And so there's benefit to shutting the government down. So that's what I'm saying. It was always going to shut down. There was never any arrangement or deal that could have occurred that would have shut the government down. And so now we are on both sides creating narratives. And that's the thing. We're trying to win the political game, the look better in the eye of the public game. So that's what's happening right now. Okay. It was just a tool to purge jobs that couldn't be cut legally. These are all my opinions. All right. So what I see on one end is GOP, where it's callous, spiteful, and about preserving power and pursuing their agenda, regardless of whom nor what. The Democrats I see as inept and stuck playing debate club politics. This weird Aaron Sorkinized West Wing bullshit. Like that's the best way I can describe it. This I win the moral argument of blah. Like the I'm going to get up here and I'm going to make my argument and make my mic drop moment, and I'm going to win the hearts and minds of the American public through the power of my argumentation. And that is not the world we exist in right now. And for whatever reason, the Democrats are obsessed with, I have to look better than this other side. And it's not benefiting anybody. It's as stupid as the dashikis and all that other stuff during 2020, like the kneeling and all that other stuff. It's ridiculous. It's pointless. It's political theater. It looks stupid. It looks dumb. It's we call it pandering. Um, it's real ham-fisted attempts to show solidarity as opposed. I'd rather they demonstrate effectiveness in some way, shape, or form instead of this fake solidarity. Like, you can miss me with this. Show me that you are able to wield power, and govern. I don't want save the shikis and all the other stuff. Wield power and govern. Otherwise, get out of our faces with it. And so that's my take. On one side, you got Callous. The other side, you got Inept. Let's get into it. So my take, GOP, is we're seeing a lot of callous, spiteful, bullies of the block. We're in power now. Ha ha ha. What are you going to do to stop us? Kind of posturing and stuff. And we're going to show exceptional cruelty to people who don't agree with us. That's kind of what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the way when they interview the players in this, listening to y'all's boy in office, listening to how he talks about the programs that are being withheld. They're Democrat programs. They're not programs that are benefiting people. These are Democrat programs. And by holding out Democrat programs, I'm hurting the Democrats because their base is going to get mad at them. But you're ignoring all the people that are being hurt. Okay. I'm not in these rooms with these people. Okay. But for me, when you start talking about, well, this is it's not a Democrat program. It's not a Republican program. It's a program for the American people. All right. And by withholding it, you're actually doing active harm to specific people. Now, what the goal is on one side is we're going to inflict as much harm and suffering so that when they are wailing in agony and their healthcare is losing and they can't get their flights because we don't have any air traffic controllers, they're going to point the finger at them. But we're going to hurt you to prove a point. We're going to hurt these people here. We're going to hurt these people in this box to prove a point to this side. Okay. That is kind of a fascistic way of doing things. That is that chaos agent that wants to force their way on to campus. And when the student union denies them, they're going to out all the LGBTQIA students because they know that will hurt them. I will hurt them to hurt you because I don't like your political movement. That's basically what's happening. Okay. And so in response, we're seeing the Democrats take this moral stand of, we're going to fight for the healthcare, knowing that that was not a non-starter from Jump Street. Like, that was a non-starter from Jump Street, but we have to have something to stand on. And so that's what they picked to stand on, knowing that this is going to be a non-starter. And so technically we're in a big standoff from a party that is not inclined, that wants to inflict maximum harm on the people that they see as their base, versus the other party that says we're going to take this principled stand that the other side has no incentive to care about whatsoever. That's where we're at. And so when I say Callous versus Inept, all right, so let's go back to the dashiki bullshit that we saw during 2020. What happened was these jokers were wearing these stupid dashikis, to show solidarity with black folks, apparently, I guess. And all that did was it turned into memes. It became memes and fodder for the other side. And they could not stop doing it. These weird performative gestures to show solidarity with people, but not legislate in a way that benefited the people. And it turned into memes. And so I have this theory right now. We have drifted out of the political debate world, and we've been living in meme world for a long time. Meme driven politics. And it sounds silly. I know it sounds silly. It really does sound silly. But we are in meme war politics. And when I say that, a lot of people are forming entire political ideologies and identities based on internet memes that they see online. And the GOP has been very good at those. It doesn't matter if they're factually incorrect. It doesn't matter if the memes are outright lies. People are forming their political identities via memes that they see on social media. And for whatever reason, whoever is advising, whatever political analysts the Dems have working, they cannot figure this shit out for the life of them. It is the most confounding thing in the world that I'm moving my camera here. It is the most confounding thing in the world that the Republicans are governing by memes. Yes, they are. It's memes. It's memes. That's what's happening. The Republicans are rolling out better memes, and the Democrats look like a bunch of goofs because they're trying to win the heart and minds of people. I'm fixing my camera here. They're trying to win the hearts and minds of people with debate, and the people that they're trying to reach have been influenced by a meme. Their entire belief structure is based on memes that they saw fed into their Facebook or TikTok feed. Okay? That's what's happening. And so it's out of touch. The Dems are out of touch. They are completely out of touch. They're not in line to the messaging is screwed up. They don't understand it. They don't understand the way the internet works. They don't understand how social media works. They were behind when it came to the podcasting thing, where a lot of the voters these white voters that they've been chasing since segregation, they're listening to these podcasts and they ain't present there. Is lots of very strategic fumbles because they do not understand the internet or the internet culture. And right now we're in a very internet culture dominated space. Okay. So this is arithmetic. Like we're seeing arithmetic on the GOP side. They don't care about the healthcare or whether people die as a result of losing it. That's not necessarily a concern for them. I'm not going to use the broad brushstrokes because some of them actually do, but in general, the way they're governing, it shows that they don't care. For them, it's just math. Less of those people means less problems to deal with. It was the same thing that happened during the pandemic. It was this weird survival of the fittest thing that we were into, where we were willing to sacrifice people who were medically fragile. We were just, sorry, you're medically fragile. We just got to get you up out of here. Sorry, your life is an inconvenience to us. And we don't want to have to think about it because it's kind of a bummer. So we're going to take your medically fragile self and just hopefully you catch this thing and you're shuffled off this mortal coil. I lost like 4 people that I know during the first months of COVID. And to hear people rationalize their death like, well, I mean, that's the arithmetic. Okay. So it's just less problems to deal with. It's not about, they don't care if poor people stop being poor, if they climbed out of poverty because they're dead. Like it doesn't matter. Okay. So it's not collateral damage, it's baked into the policy. Okay. On the other side, Democrats try to frame themselves as protectors of healthcare, as if appealing to morality was going to move people who fundamentally don't care. You're going to appeal to the morality of people that they don't necessarily care about this topic. Well, because they don't care about it, they're bad people. They don't care. And so by taking this weird stance and standing on this square, they made themselves the target of the fight and made it easy. These are all political layups for the people in charge. They let GOP flip the script, and now they look like the obstructionists who are hurting everybody. And so now we're into this weird stalemate of a thing that was inevitably going to happen either way. And instead of just saying, hey, man, y'all going to do what y'all going to do. If this thing shuts down, it's just going to shut down. No, we're taking a stand. We're going to force you to, and the Medicare, the healthcare coverage thing is super important. I'm impacted by it. People I know are impacted by it. But that was never the issue. It's a fake issue. So they're letting one side control the narrative, and they look like the obstructions that are hurting America. And because they're inept and they don't know how not to do these political posturing things, um, that's where we're in right now. Okay, that's where we're in right now. It's meme stuff. Like they're losing the meme war. Okay, so I'm gonna dive a little bit into this. Okay, um, every piece of political information is a meme now. I defy you to disprove that one. Most people are getting their political information from memes. It's been that way since, was it not Stephen Miller? Steve Bannon attached himself to the gamer gate and all that other stuff. There's a whole lot of layers to this that I'm not going to get into on tonight's live stream, but all the racist stuff that happened on Reddit and 4 and 8chan and Gamergate and all that other stuff, that is an audience that he cultivated and weaponized and said, all right, guys, get out here and make these memes to try to sway public opinion. Okay. So GOP makes memes and the Democrats become the memes. And that's the game. They mastered this politics as identity and not an argument. The Democrats keep trying to have West Wing arguments where they're going to verbally eviscerate this, these slack-jawed yokels and make them look stupid and bigoted. And they're like, I don't really care what you think about me. Here's a meme with you with a funny face on. Look how stupid you guys look. And so Democrats include these viral moments like kneeling and kente cloth. It looks clownish. It looks foolishness. It looks like foolishness. What are you doing? Pass meaningful legislation. Force them to shoot down things that are going to benefit people and then campaign on that. And then when they do this clownish shit, the GOP takes photos of them, makes memes out of them, and then they use it for years. I still see the stupid kente cloth memes of Nancy Pelosi on her knees, kneeling. What are you doing? So here's where this is going. As much as I don't like Newsom, I'm not a Gavin Newsom fan. I'm getting to the point where I'm kind of politically agnostic. I just enjoy politics because I'm fascinated by human behavior. Gavin Newsom's the one who gets it. He understands that we are engaged in a meme war. Politics is devolved to a gigantic meme war. None of this shit is important. The best argument doesn't win. It doesn't even matter. Do you guys understand that? Like, and hopefully there's somebody watching. Do you Dems understand this? That your well articulated, punchy arguments that get the Democrats clapping at you, it doesn't matter. They don't care. And so that's what you're up against. You're making all these nuanced and slam dunk arguments, and they hate you because you're using all these big words and stuff like that, and they think you're lying, and you're not going to win anybody over with these debates. That's the biggest thing about the entire debate, me bro coach. So nobody gets won over by that shit. The people that are lying, the people that are going to agree with you are going to agree with you regardless. Okay. And this is kind of now I'm about to piss off white leftists. Sorry, y'all. I mean, let's piss off everybody tonight. What I've encountered in interacting with white leftists, and I'm more aligned with some of their politics. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I got to be transparent with you. That's where a lot of my politics were aligned. But I'm also incredibly in the black political tradition of party politics, pragmatic. That is one thing about black voters are very pragmatic. No matter how much they try to demean how black voters vote and our voting patterns, it's pragmatism. They're going to vote for the person they think is going to get elected on their side. I don't think y'all remember when Obama was running the first time, there were a lot of black people that weren't sold on him. They were going to vote for Clinton regardless because they didn't think that he could win it until the tipping point of the primaries. Okay. So white leftist issue. All right. So white leftists in my space, and not all of them, it's not universal broad brushstrokes. You know, I hate that, but it's the reduction of everything to class. If we just get class solidarity, all the other problems magically go away. And that has never been true in this country. Because race is a social construct, but it's a construct that matters and is concrete in this country and globally. But specifically, I'm talking about the United States and how we interpret race. We raise class consciousness, fix everything, but it ignores the racial dynamics at play. It ignores the fact that, even, when the black town, like when you had competing townships during segregation, where you had black people in this town, white folks in this town, if the black town started doing better, the white folks would always invade that town and burn it to the ground. And the people that were doing that weren't just the rich folks. It was a lot of working class white folks that were involved in this stuff. And so you have to address that. You have to remove that fig leaf and have that conversation. The white working and middle class, we're actively participating in some of this stuff here. And until we address that, white leftists, you guys can't just, we just need to bring them under the banner. Because what you're doing is you're bringing them under the banner, and black folks are like, these people have actually done real harm, and they have very ugly thoughts about us. Well, they're on your side. Are they? Or are they on your side? Because for you, this stuff doesn't matter. Their racism doesn't necessarily matter to you because it doesn't really affect you in any way, shape, or form. But for us, you have this big tent thing. We're going to bring them all into the same tent without addressing, hey, what about the reprehensible things you think about us? And so this pursuit of the Bernie pursuit of this white working class that left any form of leftist politic, they left that years and years ago. And a lot of it did have to do with as an outcome of segregation. Now, again, these are my opinions. I'm freestyling here. But the leftist thing of they left the camp a long time ago. Like the white working class left that camp a long time ago because they had been effectively marketed to the entire Lee Atwater kind of philosophy of getting people to vote against their self-interest. If you can leverage their internal racism, they will absolutely cut off their nose to spite their face. It happens all the time. If you can say, well, okay, so the example is of the Reagan's welfare queen, right? Where the numbers show that most of the people that were getting government benefits were actually white people. But if you can put a black face on it, you can get that same group of white people to vote against it because they don't want to see a black person benefiting from it. And that's a primal thing. It makes no sense. I'm putting it out there, but that's a real thing. Racism is not it's not logical. It doesn't follow the rules of logic. It overrides logic. I got a good example of this. When I was managing caseworkers, one of my workers had a probation kid who was mixed. His mom was white, dad was black. Okay. Mom and dad weren't together anymore. He was the only black kid in the house. His siblings, blonde hair, blue eyes. Okay. We walk into that house. The reason why we're in that house is because of a breakdown of communication between the oldest kid, who happened to be biracial, and mom. What the breakdown was every time mom got mad at this kid, she would call him some of the ugliest slurs. And we're talking about hard R's. Like, this kid was getting blitzed with them all the time. All the time. She would actively segregate him from his peers, from his siblings in the house. She would say the most racist things about black people because she was mad at because I mean, it happened to be, I guess, his dad broke her heart or something. And so she just decided, I'm going all racist with it. Like I said, it's not a logical thing. So she would hit this kid with all kinds of slurs. She would say the ugliest thing. She segregated him. She treated him different than his siblings. And we saw this. And to a degree, she acknowledged it. But here's the other side of it. She would still fuss over him about not wearing his coat when it was cold outside because she didn't want him to catch a cold. She still did a lot of the things a mother does. While having these hardline racist feelings. It's not logical. Because you would think if this mom is talking to her kid like that, using racial slurs and using slurs at him and segregating him in the house, she must hate his guts. She's still in her weird, very bizarre, broken, warped way. She loved that boy. And she fussed over him like a mom does. Because I had to actually do some protective capacity assessments, parental assessments and stuff. We actually had to do some of that stuff while we're there. So it's not logical. It doesn't follow the lines of logic. And I think we have to get past this. Well, he can't be racist. He's an intelligent guy. He's an articulate guy. Why would he be racist? That doesn't matter because it doesn't follow logic. So that's the example I'm throwing out there. And so when we talk about this big tent kind of politics on the leftist side, where we're going to bring in all the white working class that haven't voted for a Democratic candidate, haven't gone for a Democratic candidate since before segregation. We're going to win them over. And then what happens at that point when we bring them under the tent and they see there's a bunch of other black people standing over on the other side of the tent? What does that look like? How do you keep them? Or do they start demanding structural changes to the party's platform to benefit themselves and make sure the black folks don't get benefit? And are the white leftists equipped to have that argument with their counterparts? That's the problem. And so when we try to pretend like racial dynamics doesn't exist and all we have to do is find class consciousness, it's a ridiculous premise. It's naive. It does not work. A lot of people vote against their self-interest every single time in November because it's not about what they get. It's about who they can prevent getting access to stuff, who they can hurt with their vote. And it's a human instinct. It's a cognitive thing. It makes no sense, but racism is not it's not logical. It doesn't follow the rules of logic. That's my take on it. The Miss Coalition, one of the most black people in this country are working class. If white leftists really aligned with black communities, there would be a political movement there that could absolutely validate their political existence. Because right now they're still on the margins. And they keep trying to infiltrate the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party ain't there because the Democratic Party is center-right. It's a center-right party right now. And they're never going to gain the power. The only way they're going to gain that power is by seeking coalition with the people that they have been actively ignoring. Okay. So instead, they extract energy, legitimacy, and votes and then move on. That's what the Dems do. And black rights get renegotiated every 4 years. Like our existence as human beings in this country is up on the ballot every 4 years. If we want to know what the ultimate cut your nose off to spite your face move was, there's two of them that rolled down here. The biggest beneficiaries of affirmative action historically are white women. That's been the biggest beneficiaries of it across the board. If you want to know what a DEI initiative is, it's making sure that veterans get access to jobs. That's a DEI initiative. We're gutting both of those. People voted for it because in their mind, the people getting hurt weren't people that looked like them or people that they knew. It was them over there. Me, them over there. And so that's what we're in right now. And so we have these political parties that represent a narrow group of interests, but they get the most money. And this is the current, like I said, we're in the 6 or 7 political party system. And the Democrats keep giving the Republicans layups, and it's just a ridiculous thing. This whole thing is ridiculous. On one side, you have one side that's completely inept, and the other side is callous and about retribution. Okay. And then there's the liberal blind spot, their parents' blind racism. They don't want to confront their parents. A lot of liberals won't. Like Thanksgiving's coming up, they're gonna sit down at the table with their racist uncle, and say, "Well, he's just set in his ways," you know. And their parents may not say the slurs, but they vote like unrepentant racists. They'll never confront them on that. They'll just deal with that quiet tension. One thing y'all need to know about, like, when black folks get together, and more times than not, when the conversations turn political, they turn political, and we will have those very uncomfortable political conversations while just hanging out. That's just how it goes. Way I grew up, my cousins will come over and they play cards, talk politics, and have debates while they're playing bid whist. And I absorbed a lot of that, because I would have those same kind of discussions with my mom as I got older. But we don't avoid uncomfortable political topics in our communities. That's just not how it goes. We don't have the option to. So the liberal blind spot is that quiet bigotry via political support, voting habits, and online engagement. They may not say the slurs, but they'll share the racist memes. And instead of confronting it, they chase these redemption arcs for their parents. Well, I can save him. He got brainwashed by Fox News. Your dad didn't get brainwashed by Fox News. It's always who he was. You just didn't want to admit it to yourself until it became blatantly obvious in your face. He didn't get kidnapped, and Fox News fed him the stuff that he wanted to hear, and he aligned himself with it politically. All right, I'm almost done with this, so I can move on to some other stuff. The GOP strategy is simple and effective. Okay. Serve the billionaires and feed resentment to the poor. That's been the playbook since probably the fourth or fifth political party system. Never apologize or negotiate. We're seeing that right now. And it keeps them in control of the narrative because they don't care. The Democrats are trying to win these moral victories and stuff like that, and that shit is not effective when we're talking about political power and amassing and maintaining political power. It's just not an effective way. Playing on people's sympathies. Okay. And the unfortunate side of it is there is a destruction of the white working class, a shrinking of the white middle class. We're seeing it in real time. Every election cycle, they get fed a line of resentment about, you're not supposed to like these people, or these people are different, and this is why, and they're bringing this evil agenda to you, and they'll get fired up and say, we're voting against that. And it's like, also, we're going to be raising taxes on you subtly. We're going to give you a tax cut in 2017, but we're going to put a rider in it so that you can absolutely get hammered with taxes in 2025, 2026. And the only way that you're going to prevent that from happening is voting for us again. And what we're going to give you is like maybe a tax cut that gives you like a couple $100. And meanwhile, we're going to get tax cuts that are like $10,000, $12,000 a month. Like that would average out to that. That's the game. And they'll light themselves on fire because they keep pitching these moral wedge issues that don't really matter. But since it aligns with some of this evangelical stuff, that's the line that they're going to get into. And they make a very corporate friendly atmosphere. I'm a business owner. I benefit from this, y'all. I'm not even going to hold you. I benefit from the tax structures. I do personally. And I still didn't vote for it. But I know people that don't benefit from the way the tax laws are now. They don't benefit from it. They're actually being hurt by it, and they still voted for it. because they got force-fed resentment because they were worried about those others over there, those others being seen as human beings. How dare those others being seen as human beings? I don't see those others as human beings, and I don't think the government should see them as human beings. So I'm voting against them. In general, the vague concept of them. I'm voting against the vague concept of them. So, and they keep telling, oh, those black and brown people are getting something that you're not. I've heard that. I've had people say, well, black people get free college. Where does that happen? The student loan people are calling me now. What? Where is this free college black people get all the time? I had scholarships. I had to sit down. It was almost like a part-time job from 10th grade to 12th grade filling out scholarship applications, because my mom told me straight up, she's like, I can't afford to pay for you to go to college. If you get there, you're going to have to work it. You're going to have to get a job, or you're going to have to earn a scholarship, or both. And so we did the scholarship route. And I had to make the grade. I busted my ass from 10th grade all the way up to 12th grade, filling those things out. But the narrative is, and I've had white people look at me and say, well, you guys get to go to college for free. Where did you hear that? That's what my parents told me. Where is this coming from? And that's why they vote against all this stuff, because they think that there's this narrative that we're getting something that they're not. Meanwhile, we're all getting shafted, just in different ways. Stop them from getting it. That's the reaction. And I have to stop them from getting it no matter what. And then that no matter what turns into you paying extra taxes, them pumping more chemicals into your food. If you live in Nebraska, you get to live in a place where the governor's pig farm is sitting there and they're putting pig shit in the water, and they can just get away with it because he's rich and he's the governor of the state. And all those people, that's disproportionately affecting white folks. They're getting poisoned pig shit water. And they voted for it. Because a different governor might have given them people over there something that they don't feel like they deserve. So they destroy the programs that actually benefit them the most. Like I said, I mentioned affirmative action. Yes, affirmative action benefited white people more than black folks. It's always been the case. But the lie was, well, black people are getting things that they don't deserve. Really, it was about pushing white women out of the workforce. And they effectively did it. So you're going to start seeing these shifts here. Affirmative actions, the biggest beneficiaries have been women, or been white women. DEI, some of the biggest beneficiaries have been veterans, because that veteran hiring is a DEI initiative. Okay, but it still harms us too. Black and disabled folks get the short end of the stick. Okay, so I'm wrapping this up. One side's callous, the other side is inept, and the rest are out of touch. And the people who need the change the most are getting crushed, and that's very intentional. As long as the white working class is willing to set themselves on fire, set themselves on fire, they let the billionaires collect the insurance check, and that's what's happening. So that's my little miniature political rant. Thanks for listening to me. I've been going on for 40 minutes. Let's talk comic books. Next segment here. Let's talk about what I'm reading right now. So it's been a good run. I actually downloaded Absolute Green Lantern because I heard a recap of the issue number 7 on YouTube, and I'm like, I must listen to this because this is amazing. It's Al Ewing, spoiler alert. So what I'm listening to is what I'm reading. I've already heard the previews for DC KO, which is their newest crossover event, which is the crossover with the main DC universe and the Absolute DC universe. It's interesting. Basically, it looks like, without getting too far into it and spilling too much, is basically the DC universe does the Dragon Ball Super Tournament of Power. That's what it is. It's the DC Universe Tournament of Power. That's what DC KO is. And the big bad is Darkseid. And so the DC heroes have to fight and figure out who their champion is to fight Darkseid. It's worth the read if you get a chance to. I think it actually physically drops tomorrow, but listening to the recap, I'm inclined to cop that one. But they're competing for the heart of Apocalypse to save reality. It's a dope concept. It's not new, but it's interesting to see Superman putting on the knuckle dusters, getting ready to fight somebody. So, and it's high stakes cosmic martial art. Like it's a lot in there, and so I'm interested to see where they go. I do think the absolute DC universe is probably the best thing coming out in the major distributors right now. I think it's the best thing right now, to be honest with you. I honestly don't, I think Marvel's doing good with the Ultimate line, but I don't think DC has touched this level of quality from their books in a long time consistently. And so I'm kind of sad to see what happens as they close the chapter in the Absolute universe. Speaking of Absolute universe, Absolute Batman, I read the latest issue. It's a good one. That one's going to be dropping tomorrow too. And listen to this. I'm going to be copying that one to actually physically read it. I'll listen to it, listen to the recap online. Absolute Batman looks like a banger. This one was kind of, it kind of put a pause in some of the action and built out Batman and Catwoman's relationship and what it actually looked like and how they interact with one another. And also it did go into the side effects of what Batman endured in Arkham when they experimented on him and did the forced surgery on him, and what his new abilities are. And so really good stuff. I highly recommend it. I still think Absolute Batman is one of the best things coming out. The sleeper pick. The sleeper pick. Absolute Green Lantern. I am 100% invested in the absolute universe's version of Green Lantern. It was a little bit shaky at the beginning just because Al Ewing is really ignorant. What was it? I don't know. I can't even say the word. He's is layered. You got to search for the meaning and stuff, but now they're getting into it and uncovering some of the lore. I'm in. This is the most interesting Green Lantern's been in a long time. So Al Ewing's doing for Green Lantern what he did with the Hulk. And so he's weaving some spiritual philosophy into it, and stuff like that. So for those that don't know, the Absolute Universe, and I say it a lot, I don't necessarily know if I kind of told you what it is. So the Absolute Universe was born of the main universe's Justice League. They defeated Darkseid, and Darkseid fell through reality. And what happened was Darkseid was able to essentially create his own version of reality where he is the god in that universe. And he reshaped reality in his image. And so basically the Absolute Universe is this. And they literally just explained this in Absolute Justice, I think, last week. The concept is, in the main DC universe, the heroes are fighting against chaos. They are the force fighting against chaos. In the Absolute universe, the Darkseid run universe, the heroes are the force of chaos. And the villains are the force of order. Very interesting flip on it. Scott Snyder is cooking with this one. All right. So anyway, it's the way that they've done this. There's a little bit of grittiness to this, and there's a lot of mystery tied into it. I'm not going to spoil the whole series for you, but the thing that I found fascinating is thematically how they are re-envisioning the different rings and the different, because in the main DC universe, you have the different rings, right? And so you got the Green Lanterns who, I got to write this down because I'm going to forget somebody. You got the Green Lantern. They represent willpower. All right. The emotional spectrum is what we're talking about. Green, and my pen is not working. Green Lanterns represent willpower. Red Lanterns represent rage. Blue Lanterns represent hope. Yellow lanterns represent fear. Indigo lanterns represent compassion. White lanterns represent um, life. Black lanterns represent death. And I think the magenta lanterns represent love. I may have left somebody out. Okay. So each one of these are built around emotional concepts. And the more out of control the emotional concept is, the more volatile the ring's powers are. So the Red Lantern's ring is super, super volatile, as is the magenta, the Star Sapphire ring, because that's love. Very out of control thing. And so it's almost like the Red Lanterns are feral, essentially. And so you harness it by getting control of that emotion. The Blue Lanterns provide hope. And so hope can increase willpower when you have hope. And so because hope increases willpower, when you put a Green Lantern ring together, when you put a Green Lantern with a Blue Lantern, the Blue Lantern supercharges the Green Lantern. That makes sense? Fear, no, it's not. Anger, rage erodes willpower. And so rage can absolutely obliterate Green Lantern constructs, but hope can cleanse rage. Oh, who I forget? The Orange Lantern and of avarice, which is greed. Okay. And so that's how the interplay works in the main DC universe. And they've been playing around with it and whatnot. Still interesting or whatnot. But the way that they're framing the rings now is really, really, really interesting. Because instead of the rings representing different emotional spectrums, they represent ways of thinking. It's almost like learning disciplines of martial arts, where some martial arts are really, really rigid. And sometimes that makes them ineffective when it comes to actual combat. And some martial arts are very fluid, which can also make them ineffectual when it comes to combat. But it just depends on perspective and the application of it. And so I'm gonna try to, and this is still, a lot of this stuff is still new, y'all. Like a lot of these things are still new, so they haven't really fully fleshed this out. But this is just from the current Green Lantern book. Okay, so in the absolute universe, the Green Lanterns teach that the green power is the correct action, righteousness by obedience. They are taking the correct action. Their willpower is they're utilizing their will to keep themselves in control. The Owens say that the yellow is caution, and and they just kind of have their own framework and rubric how they break it down. Okay, we find out in that book that the Owens are full of shit and they don't know what the hell they're talking about, because once they apply their philosophy to combat, it is wholly ineffective. And I'm gonna tell you why. So, and I without getting into too many spoilers here, the Green Lanterns in that book went out and they believed that they were taking the correct action when they were confronted with a couple of Black Lanterns, Black Star Lanterns, and it's a mind job when you see who actually are the villains and the Black Lanterns in this book, because they are stalwarts of the Green Lantern Corps in the main universe. But what happens is they go out and confront the villain. I'm trying not to give too much away, guys, but I'm chomping at the bit. It's really exciting. I need y'all to read this so I can spill the beans. Or if you don't care about spoilers, give me a like or say, hey, I don't care about spoilers, and I can move on. But anyway, so what happens is the Lanterns confront, the Green Lanterns confront the Black Lanterns, Black Star Lanterns, and it does not go well for them at all. And the reason why it doesn't go well for them is because the way that they were trained to use their rings locks them into a very rigid way of combat. And the Black Lanterns represent willpower, but the chaotic form of willpower, where they are capable of doing whatever they want to achieve their ends. Very, very interesting stuff. And And so what happens is the Owens get absolutely just like the Owens stuff, it absolutely gets thrown out the window because it's based on a faulty ideology that they are correct. Like the green, it represents correct, and they have a blind spot for all the other cores. And so um they have this concept. I think it's the Abin is like the one that is the master of that specific ring type, but then there's also the anomalies, and the anomalies are the ones that weren't not supposed to get rings, but they did anyway. And because they were not supposed to get it, they didn't go through the Owen training. And so they had to learn how to use the rings on their own. And so they can break all the rules. And apparently that is a benefit. That's a huge benefit to them because they're not locked into a rigid way of doing things. And so the interesting was how they presented the Red Lantern, where if the Owens taught how the Red Lanterns were supposed to be, the Red Lanterns were supposed to be purely defensive. And any offensive use defies that rule. Well, the anomaly for the Red Lantern didn't see it that way. And so they use the power to win the battle instead of adhering to strictly to a philosophy. It's amazing. It's amazing how to do it. And so Al Ewing's very good at a lot of this psychological stuff. The Ewing treatment is the Immortal Hulk built theology around gamma radiation. Like there was a theology attached to it. Absolute Green Lantern is building theology into the different lantern cores. And so they're defined, the lanterns are defined by application and teaching and not emotion as much. Okay. And so basically Al Ewing, so far, this is my take on it. He's saying what happens when this script fails. Do you think you know what you're supposed to do? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face, right? And so it's a signature style. Turn power systems into a philosophy that shapes that world. Really interesting stuff. Really, really interesting stuff. So I'm interested to see where it goes, bro. I'm excited to see what Al Ewing brings to it. I'm almost as excited with this book as I am with what we're seeing with Scott Snyder in the Absolute Batman, and kind of what he's doing in DCKL. I thought DCKL was going to be lame, and I thought it was going to be some whack stuff, and I'm actually impressed after surveying that first issue. I'm actually going to pick it up and give it a read. So let me jump back because I missed some stuff that I'm reading here. On the Marvel side, I am still 100% into the Ultimates universe. The clock is ticking. We're winding down. We're getting to where the Maker comes out of the city, and it's the end of the world. And so I'm seeing what happens there. The Ultimates have been very interesting. They had a little issue with Hawkeye, where Hawkeye was doing his own little side mission or whatnot, which is the last one I saw. And so they're kind of setting the stage for the Maker to come back. And the Maker is the evil version of Reed Richards that destroyed the original, that had a hand in almost destroying the original Ultimate Universe. So I'm really interested in that. I know last week I kind of was really negative on Spider-Man, but in the last couple of weeks I've started the current run of Spider-Man is interesting because Spider-Man's in outer space. They've taken him off Earth and they're having him do stuff in outer space. And it's kind of reinvented the character because he's on a mission to get stronger because of something that happened on planet Earth. And so he's out seeking ways to improve himself. He gets a new suit that is phalanx technology, which is techno-organic. And basically he forms his own version of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Rocket Raccoon in this latest issue. Really interesting stuff. There were some eye-rolly things. It did drag a little bit, but it's more interesting than what they've been doing with Spider-Man. If they got to keep him outer space to make him interesting, please keep him outer space to make him interesting. Don't bring him back to Earth so that it can suck again. I don't want to see that. If he's interesting in space, keep him in space for as long as you need to. I'm skipping a lot of stuff around the Absolute Green Lantern because I just don't want to spoil it for y'all. And I did talk about DCKL. Ewing's not rebooting Green Lantern in the Absolute Universe. He is like creating a whole new mythology around it. I like it. I'm really into it. And DC's like kind of got a grasp on the cosmic stuff again. So we'll see what happens. So next thing, I was going to save this and do a standalone video, but I've my little talk about Last Stand of the Wreckers and my recommendation of it prompted me to go back and start reading Last Stand of the Wreckers again, and some of the Lost Light series from the IDW Transformers universe. And so I was going to do a standalone character issues for Overlord. Character issues is essentially where I take a character and break him down and introduce him to the audience, introduce her to the audience. And if there's flaws in the character, I talk about how we can make the character better. But this is really kind of my take and review on a character. Okay. And so this character issues is about Overlord. Okay. Overlord is what they call a phase sixer. In the IDW Transformers universe, there are Transformers like there's a caste system, and how you are born or created determines kind of what your power level is. There are ones that are cold forged, and ones that are cold constructed. I think it's the cold forged ones which are the stronger Transformers. Those are like the ones that are like they're the superhumans amongst the Transformers. That's Megatron, Optimus Prime, Grimlock, and Overlord. Overlord falls into that, where their spark, they're called 0.1 percenters. They have a different colored spark than all the other Transformers, and so they are more powerful. They have more capabilities. Ultra Magnus has the ability to put on a specific battle armor that his spark allows him to do. And so, but they have different sparks. Okay. Basically, they're the superhumans of the Transformer universe. And so, Optimus Prime is essentially Superman of the Transformer universe. Megatron is essentially Superman, except Black Adam-ish, and an ability to manipulate and wield absolutely fantastic amounts of power. Like he directed a black hole through his gun. Crazy work. Anyway, so Overlord's a Decepticon phase sixer. So not only is he 0.1 percenter, but he's a phase sixer. So basically, he is Megatron's. He's a super weapon. He's a Decepticon super weapon. They send in the phase sixers based on the way that they do things, based on in the IDW Transformers universe. The phase sixers are the super weapons that Megatron sends in. They're the last line of their planet wiping protocol, which is phase 6. They are there to break the last bit of resistance and annihilate whatever resistance, obliterate armies, and sterilize planets for Megatron to take over. That's what the phase sixers are. That's how powerful they are. Overlord is essentially, what if we took Sabretooth, but this is Sabretooth with the adamantium skeleton, and still has the healing factor. So Overlord has an indestructible skeleton, and he also has a healing factor. So no amount of damage that the Autobots can pump into him can effectively kill him. They have to find other ways to get rid of him. But then they said, we're going to take him, and then we're also going to give him Jason's drive to kill, Jason Voorhees' drive to kill. But we're also going to give him the unbridled glee that Freddy has hurting people. Like, the way I can describe Overlord in the comic books, he is one of the happiest mass murderers you're ever going to find in comic books. He enjoys this shit. He lives for this. This is what gets him out of bed in the morning. He kills for the love of the game. It's the love of the game, bro. He sees this as an art form. And so it's the unbridled glee of like Tim Curry when he was playing It, or like I said, Freddy Krueger, where this guy's having a great time. He loves to hurt other Transformers. He likes to hurt other life forms. Okay. And so the other thing is, Overlord is absolutely massive. He is a massive, massive robot. Like, he is huge in these books. He transforms, his transformation, he transforms into, top half transforms into a tank, or top half transforms into a jet, bottom half transforms into a tank. He's a massive guy. And like I said, he's armed with weapons that are designed to sterilize planets. Okay. He has nanite regeneration, and he's nearly immortal. Okay. And so he also has a power called mind play, where he can essentially, it's a torture technique, but he can also hack into the minds of other Transformers and extract memories and manipulate memories and implant memories and stuff. It's a very torturous process. And he can also strip memories and absolutely lobotomize other Transformers if he wanted to. Okay. He's driven because he didn't never wanted to, he was fine with the super weapon thing, but he just wanted to kill. He didn't want to necessarily be Megatron's weapon. And so Megatron's the only one that's ever defeated him in one-on-one combat up until the comic book starts. And so he's obsessed with defeating Megatron. And so his fixation is defeating Megatron. And so in Last Stand of the Wreckers, he goes over and takes over an Autobot prison colony and tortures everybody there and turns it into a gladiatorial arena just to get Megatron's attention. And it doesn't work. When he gets there, he kills another Phase Sixer who's called Black Shadow. Black Shadow is strong enough. Black Shadow absolutely killed he killed like 10,000 Autobots in one go, like by himself. He soloed 10,000 Autobots and soloed Optimus Prime and Ultra Magnus at the same time, like beat their asses. This is when they were younger, but that's Black Shadow. And Overlord came in and killed him off the rip, just got rid of him. Okay. And so that's who he is. So this is his power set. He's invulnerable. He has a healing factor. He's psychotic. He loves to hurt people. And he's driven by, that's what he loves to do. He's driven by revenge to fight Megatron, to prove himself against Megatron. And the thing is, Megatron installed a dummy code in him. And part of his character arc is he's trying to figure out what word Megatron implanted in him that shuts him down. And so that's why he learned the mind play stuff, so he can get in there and remove that. Okay. His personality, existential boredom and nihilism. He's driven to kill. If he's not doing it, he's bored. He's constantly needs to define himself against Megatron. I mean, cruelty is just recreation for him. Like, that's how he chills, bro. Like, I might throw a brisket on. Overlord will genocide a planet. That's kind of how he rolls. And invincibility, like, it's kind of the Saitama thing from One Punch Man. He can't feel, so he breaks others to simulate it, except it's evil Saitama. He's bored by the fact that he can't be defeated. Okay. Major stories you're going to see him in his Last Stand of the Records. He was basically a slasher movie villain in that book. He was terrifying. He was absolutely terrifying in that book. And I still, like, to this day, I go back and it's amazing that they escaped. It's amazing that they got out. It's amazing that happened the way it did, because there was no way. And then he was in the Lost Light book, and he was an absolute menace in that book. Still, Pipes, you didn't deserve to go out like that, bro. That was awful. That was awful. Overlord, I ain't never seen a Transformer get done like Pipes did. Absolutely terrible. Maybe Ambletron. He got sliced in half. He got bisected while he's standing right there. But Pipes got a raw deal in that book. Overlord did him filthy. Why he works? He's not in a lot of books, bro. Like, Overlord is, for all his powers and abilities, he is not in a lot of books. He really isn't. He's in a few books, but when he's in the books, he steals the show. He steals the show. And so that's just the real. And so that, I mean, that, like, he is a big presence, but he's barely in the books. But he's such a significant presence that when he's in the books, it makes a big deal. His power mirrors his pathology: endless regeneration and zero growth. He never evolves past who he was built to be. And his horror comes from the comprehension. He makes sense. He's illogical. He's super logical. Like, he's not like where it's all illogical. It's cold calculus for him. When we learned out he could do the mind play thing, because that issue was particularly chilling, like Cold Blue Stars or something like that, That was terrifying. That was a very, very dark book. It was dark. And it showed how physically terrifying he can be. And so Overlord is cruelty incarnate, where he's doing cruelty for the sake of cruelty. And he's one of my favorite villains because he's so well thought out. He's simple. His motivations are simple, but he's very, very well laid out. And I encourage you, if you get a chance, jump in there and, start with Last Stand of the Records and read some of the Lost Light stuff, because that's where he really gets a chance to shine. Okay. Next up, I think the next character issues I'm going to be doing is this Decepticon Justice Division. That's one you got. That's a dope one, and it kind of follows the darkness of the IDW Transformers universe. This one's going to be heavy. The Decepticon Justice Division is just as terrifying as Overlord. In fact, Overlord's on the run from the Decepticon Justice Division. They are the Megatron's enforcers that go out and eliminate people who will go against the Decepticon cause. And if it's Autobot, it's Autobot. If it's a Decepticon, it's a Decepticon. If you land on their list, you're in trouble. And I'm not going to hold you. Megatron ended up on their list. So that's what we're going to do for the next character issues. I like this. I like this format here. But yeah, the books you're going to want to read for Overlord are going to be Lost Light and Last Stand of the Records. That's where he's really, really, really clearly defined. Okay. So let me go. I'm gonna make sure I hit everything. Probably gonna be starting gaming streams, and I'll be talking about comic books and marketing and all that other stuff. And you get a chance to watch me play Overwatch poorly. You're gonna get a chance to see all that stuff. And so that's what that is. So let me go ahead and make sure I have all my points here. Before I sign off here. I do appreciate y'all responding to my stuff. Like, I've been posting some intensely personal stuff regarding parenting and stuff on there, and you guys have been great. I know I think I confused one or two people the way I was talking on there, where I was talking about past tense. The reason why I was talking about past tense in terms of enjoying being a parent is my children are my children, but they're not children anymore. They're teenagers. They're turning into young adults. So they are not children. And so I was talking in past tense because I was kind of trying to express, like, they're not kids anymore. It makes me sad, but I'm also very excited for the people that they're growing into. I'm super excited for it. And so I think that's everything, guys. Like, I'm trying to keep it done. I'm trying to get out of here. And so I think I did really well. Be on the lookout for the community I start. Playing around with different names. You're going to know the name when you see it because it's a very on-brand kind of thing that I'm doing. But it's going to be a good hangout if you like comic books, if you're a Black nerd who likes comic books and also wants to talk grown folks business and doesn't necessarily want to deal with all the negativity that's out there. Our community is built on things that we love, not things that we hate as much. And so that's what that community is going to be. Be on the lookout for that. I do appreciate y'all's tuning in. I'm still figuring out when I'm going to use TikTok Live for y'all. I have to be 100% honest with you, because I still don't quite understand the platform. I've done 2 lives and screwed up the audio on both of them, and I don't quite know what the engagement's for. So we'll see what it is. I'm going to be starting my Substack, where I actually take these live streams and actually write them and make them into articles for my Substack and share some of these videos on here. And the YouTube is going to really be, I'm going to have some of my live streams on there. I'm not going to have them up for long. I'm going to be clipping them into videos that I can utilize, in shorter forms. And so that's really what we got coming up. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. I may be popping back on like Wednesday or Thursday, or maybe even Friday with the TikTok live stream. So if you want to come on and game with me and just chop it up, that's where you're gonna find me. I do appreciate y'all tuning in. I can't express my gratitude enough that this is my outlet and you guys are joining me on this mission. So, all right, I'll talk to y'all later. Be easy.